Sedition. The use and mostly misuse of this word came up several times in the Supreme Court this week. The week started with the Supreme Court saying that this is the time that we need to define what is and what is not sedition. And today, the highest court in the country cancelled a sedition case against journalist Vinod Dua and said that a 1962 order protects every journalist from such charges. Dua, remember, had been charged in Himachal Pradesh over his criticism of government's handling of COVID based on a complaint by a BJP leader.
अपने आत्मसम्मान को कायम रखते हुए अपने हित और अपनी बातें सख्ती से सामने रखना जरूरी है.
Big relief for journalist Vinod Dua. The top court today cancelled a sedition case against him filed by the Himachal Pradesh police. The case was after a complaint by a BJP leader for Dua questioning the Prime Minister and Centre's handling of the pandemic on his show on March 30th, 2020. However, the dropping of sedition charges against others like Kerala journalist Siddique Kappan, who is in Mathura jail, is unlikely to happen until their courts take up today's Supreme Court order. The top court said every journalist will be entitled to protection under Kedar Nath Singh judgment in 1962 on sedition. Then a 5-judge constitution bench allowed the sedition law but narrowed down the scope and said strong comments critical of government without inciting public disorder is not sedition. A citizen has a right to criticize government or its actions so long as he does not incite people to violence against government.
This judgment will have a huge impact on the pending cases also. There has been a lot of demand for repealing sedition law. Now, sedition law as it stood in the statute book was definitely required to be repealed. And accordingly, now no police officer will be permitted to continue with a sedition case.
In another significant part of the order, the court had agreed to revisit the 1962 verdict and sought the centre's response based on the two journalists' plea who moved to Supreme Court. Kishore Chandra Wankhemcha from Manipur, who is in jail now. The other is Kanhaiya Lal Shukla from Chhattisgarh. Both were booked for comments against the government on social media.
While staying any action against two Telugu news channels, the court said it's time court defines sedition. Again today, the court observed journalists are entitled to protection under the 1962 verdict on sedition. A clear message to all governments: don't book journalists under sedition law. In New Delhi, Arunachalam Vaidyanathan, NDTV.
Moving to vaccines now. After Pfizer and Moderna, Covishield maker Serum Institute of India has now asked for indemnity from liability according to sources. All vaccine makers, whether Indian or foreign, should be granted the same protection. The Adar Poonawalla-led company reportedly told the government. But to understand this in detail, we've got Vishnu Som joining us on the show. Vishnu, this impacts Serum Institute hugely, not just because it's about Covishield, but 3 more vaccines that they have in the pipeline.
That's right. And in fact, it's not just the Serum Institute of India, it's any vaccine manufacturer looking to come into India. Remember, there are several vaccine manufacturers looking to enter this market within just the next couple of months, start manufacturing so that India can get close to the 2 billion dose, which the government says we'll be able to arrive at in terms of manufacture by the end of December. In order for this to happen, there need to be clearances for emergency use authorization of those vaccines in India. The big worry for vaccine manufacturers is that if they are tied down by legal cases, then what happens to them? Will there be extended legal cases? Will there be payouts? That concerns them. So they point out that in several countries across the world, there is indemnity given. There are different ways in which those citizens who have adverse effects to these vaccines are dealt with. For example, some countries like the United States have a particular fund which is raised, which guarantees that those who win a legal case are actually compensated. India doesn't have any such system. But these vaccine manufacturers say that something has to be done to protect them. This has been a huge problem. However, if the government is talking to Pfizer and Moderna and saying, look, we'll find a way around indemnity, a lot of Indian manufacturers and other companies would be saying very simply, look, if it's them, why not us? We are bringing in vaccines as well.
Right. Thanks, Vishnu, for joining us with the very latest. And talking about vaccines, it is about the vaccination cover after all. And the next set of graphics actually brings to you how much of a vaccination cover does India have and which state is doing better than the rest. We'll first look at the percentage of population covered with the first dose. You see India over there, 12.6%. That is 12.6% of our population across the country currently has the first dose. Leading that chart is state of Kerala, 22.4%. Then it's Jammu and Kashmir, Delhi, Gujarat, Uttarakhand also doing very well. But let's look at the lowest five over here. The lowest really from the bottom is Uttar Pradesh, only 6.4%. Then Bihar, Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu, Assam also with the lowest cover. But both the doses, let's look at the percentage of population covered under that, and that's not a good figure. Look at that, India only 3.3% covered fully at the moment with vaccination. Leading the double dose chart, however, state-wise is Gujarat, followed by Delhi, Kerala, Uttarakhand and Andhra Pradesh. And again, the least cover is currently in Bihar. Before that, it's Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and again Assam. And the paradox of vaccines, really, shortage at one end and then there is hesitancy at the other. Let's talk about shortage first, where Mumbai ran out of vaccines again today. The government and the civic body ran out of vaccines at centres. There were no stocks left. That meant that a total of 344 state and civic run vaccination centres did not operate. No age group could get vaccinated there.
No vaccination on June 3rd. Once again, this board displayed in Mumbai because vaccination drive stopped in BMC and state-run centres on Thursday. Due to the shortage of vaccine on Wednesday, only 51 centres out of 344 centres were functioning. Today, not one of these was open. In fact, of about 50,000 doses on Wednesday, only 1 in 10 were in government centres, the rest were in private centres. In the last 3 days, the number of beneficiaries in government centres has crashed, from over 22,000 on the 31st of May to just 5,500 on the 2nd of June. In May, BMC received nearly 5.2 lakh doses, less than half of April's quantity of over 9.4 lakh doses.
Getting the vaccination supply, we are dependent on the Government of India and Government of Maharashtra. We could not continue with the vaccination schedule on Wednesday because of the short supply. But today we have received more than 90,000 doses of Covishield and Covaxin. So tomorrow onwards, our vaccination schedule will be as it is.
The municipality received 9 responses for its global tender for 1 crore doses and will scrutinize the bids to check for authenticity. Although right now the cases are going down in Mumbai, but in an anticipation of a third wave, it is necessary that we vaccinate as many people as possible and that too quickly. But with such regular vaccine shortage in Mumbai, this is looking very difficult and also a bit concerning. In Mumbai with camera person Sanjay Mandal, this is Purva Chitnas for NDTV.
Concerning indeed, but look at the complexity of the problem when it comes to vaccinating India. There is shortage in the metros and urban centres, and our rural centres face a massive vaccine hesitancy. Large states like UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh are facing an enormous challenge of getting people vaccinated. The reason? Sometimes fake news, other times superstition.
वैक्सीनेशन वाले आए अम्मा कहाँ दुखी हो अम्मा ओ अम्मा इतने आओ अम्मा अम्मा विदायगी आई आपके घर है
This viral video from Uttar Pradesh's Etawah district summing up India's worrying COVID vaccine hesitancy, especially in villages. The video was shot on Tuesday afternoon when the local BJP MLA and a health department team visited the village for an awareness drive. Hardevi, in her 80s, first hid behind a door, then behind a drum, refusing to get vaccinated. Finally, she was convinced to get the jab.
गांव क्षेत्र में बहुत ही मेहनत की ज़रूरत है और लोगों को जागरूक करने की ज़रूरत है, समझाने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि वैक्सीनेशन तो होना ही चाहिए और सबसे ज़्यादा गांव क्षेत्र में होना चाहिए.
Uttar Pradesh's vaccination pace is among the lowest among big states in the country. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, less than 2% of the total population are fully vaccinated. In terms of numbers, this is just 35 lakh people, hardly anything for a state with a population of 23 crores. The COVID vaccine drive hitting a roadblock in neighbouring Bihar too, despite the Nitish Kumar government stepping up vaccinations in rural areas. These videos from a village in the Saharsa district show Anganwadi and Asha workers struggling to convince people and facing excuses ranging from illness, impotency to death. Only about 1.4% of Bihar's population has been fully vaccinated so far.
जो भी लोग हैं वो वैक्सीन लेने से पूरे इनकार कर रहे हैं. ये होगा वो होगा, बीमार पड़ जाएंगे. अभी हम लोग का फसल काटने का समय है, हम लोग फसल काटने जाएंगे, हम लोग सुनेंगे.
In Madhya Pradesh, not a rush for COVID vaccines, but for fairy water, as these crowds rushed into the Chatukheda village of MP's Rajgarh district after rumours that two women were distributing a miracle cure for COVID.
Superstitions like these need to be tackled swiftly and with a strong hand. With Alok Pandey and Manish Kumar in Bhopal, Anurag Dwari for NDTV.
In cities, people running from pillar to post to get a jab, and in our rural centres, people hiding behind drums really to stay away from them. A complex problem that needs to be addressed at this point. But talking about the issue of COVID, let's look at numbers now and how they fare in the past 24 hours. Cases in the past 24 hours are up by about 1%. Deaths are down by nearly 10%, however. And the vaccination up again by 1.2%. The test overall in the past 24 hours are up again by 6.5%, and the positivity rate continued to be below 10% for the 10th straight day. Remember, relatively these numbers look quite less than what they were from the peak, but still quite huge as our daily numbers continue to be over a lakh. Moving on though, the top court has now sought the criteria for declaring the class 12th examination results as well. The court today gave the centre and the CBSE, even the ICSE, 2 weeks' time to revert back to them. The court said, we are happy that the government has cancelled the exam, but what is the principle that you are going to apply? The lawyer there said that they actually wanted 4 weeks' time, but the court said that's not going to happen. 2 weeks is what they will get, and they will have to get back to the court then and give them a breakup of how exactly the evaluation of marks will take place. Meanwhile, while this was happening and there was a meeting going on online, of course, of CBSE, Prime Minister dropped in as a surprise to just check in on the students and parents and find out what was happening. Now, this was an online meet organized by the Education Ministry. Nobody knew that the Prime Minister would be there. And there he is, just joining in and bringing in some smiles and a surprise to these anxious students. Meanwhile, shifting our focus to the Sustainability Development Goals Index that has come out now, and Kerala continues to be at the top of that chart. Now, Niti Aayog released this index, and while Kerala is at the top, guess what? Bihar continues to be the worst performer according to this report. Now, the Index for Sustainable Development Goals evaluates progress of states and union territories on social, economic and environmental parameters. So, a lot of southern states dominated this chart, top 5 all over there, and North India will continue to be in the lowest 5. At 66, however, India's score overall was a bit impressive. The government went out to say that it was quite impressive compared to last year at least. On to some political news now, where post-poll violence in Bengal and COVID situation in the country has got the RSS quite busy. Not very long ago, they were meeting up on the issue of COVID crisis management in the state of Uttar Pradesh, and now they're meeting again in a huddle again over the issue of Bengal. Akhilesh joins us now to try and give us a sense of why exactly this is happening and what is the RSS trying to achieve out of this. What is the goal really, Akhilesh, of this meeting?
Well, I think there are three issues before the RSS right now. First is to address how to deal with the post-poll violence in West Bengal, because large number of people have been affected due to this post-poll violence, and BJP and RSS workers, they feel that the central leadership has not done enough to rescue them or to give relief to them or provide security to them. That is why the RSS and the BJP leadership is concerned, and they are trying to mount pressure upon the West Bengal government and also the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee that immediate steps should be taken. And also the RSS is trying to make it a big political issue that how an opposition party, when it wins a state, despite the winning, they continue to oppress the people who did not vote for them. So this is the first major issue which is a part of the discussion. This is the top RSS leaders, they are meeting. RSS of course calling it a routine meeting, but the top 10 leaders of the RSS, they are in Delhi and they will be meeting for the next 3 days. And the second issue which is before them is to how to deal with the second wave of the COVID, because RSS chief has mentioned that when the second wave came, there was a ghaflat. He used the word ghaflat. That means nobody is prepared to deal with the second wave. So when the third wave comes, how to deal with that? This is the second issue before them. And the third issue, of course, is the coming assembly polls, including Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand and Punjab. And we have seen that how in the past 10 days there are series of meetings between the RSS and the BJP leaders, and senior BJP leaders have gone to Lucknow to take feedback, and now they have come back. So this is of course the third important point which is being discussed in this meeting.
Right, and we still wait to see what actually came out of that meeting and what the repercussions of that are going to be in the UP cabinet, if at all. Well, that's something we'll keep an eye on. Thanks, Akhilesh, for joining us with the very latest. But shifting our focus to Congress and their unit in Punjab. Now, until yesterday, it looked like the rebels in the Congress Punjab had a chance. But this morning, a last-minute googly came, not from Navjot Singh Sidhu, but from Captain. Chief Minister Amrinder Singh, minutes before leaving for Delhi, where he was summoned by the High Command over infighting in the state, Captain welcomed 3 suspended Aam Aadmi Party MLAs to the Congress. But is that enough to sort of establish him as the leader there? Ghazali explores.
A shot in the arm for the Punjab Chief Minister minutes before he left for Delhi to meet a Congress panel looking into dissidents against him. Amrinder Singh welcomed 3 sitting Aam Aadmi Party MLAs, Sukhpal Khera, Pirmal Singh and Jagdev Singh Kamalu into the party.
मैं समझदा कि घट्टो-घट्ट मैं कह सकदा कि आम आदमी पार्टी ਨੂੰ 2015 ਜੁਆਇਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਇਹ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਬਲੰਡਰ ਸੀਗਾ.
The Chief Minister meeting with the 3-member panel comes after it met MLAs, ministers and MPs. Captain Amrinder meets the Congress panel tomorrow, but his vocal rival, Navjot Singh Sidhu, isn't backing down. Sidhu's wife, Navjot Kaur Sidhu, hit out at the Chief Minister's wife and Patiala MP, Praneet Kaur. Captain Amrinder Singh has sent out a strong message to the party high command by getting Aam Aadmi Party MLAs in the party fold. Now it is to be seen as how the party high command will pacify the disgruntled MLAs and also accommodate estranged Navjot Singh Sidhu into the state unit. With Mohammad Ghazali, Usama Shab for NDTV.
Moving on now, the country's annual monsoon arrived on the Kerala coast on Thursday, marking the start of the 4-month rainy season, crucial for the farm-dependent economy. Rains usually lash Kerala state during the south coast and around 1st of June and cover the whole country by mid-July. But this, however, is 3 days delayed. However, the prediction is that it will go well.